Opening hook. Listen carefully, because what you're about to hear is not just another speech. It is a heartbeat, a cry, a warning, and a promise. A voice echoing from the soul of Africa. A voice that speaks not just for today, but for centuries of struggle, pain, and unbreakable hope. A voice that dares to ask, will Africa forever kneel, or will it finally rise? The gathering of leaders. The hall was full. Heads of state, military officers, elders, and citizens stood together on a day marked not just in calendars, but in destiny. The first summit of the Alliance of Sahel States was more than politics. It was the sound of a continent waking up. Before words, there was silence. And in that silence, one truth lingered. Africa had suffered enough. The chains of colonialism had shifted shapes, sometimes guns, sometimes banks, sometimes smiling faces hiding daggers. But the pain was always the same. And then the voice rose, calm, steady, and filled with conviction. Before anything else, let us give thanks to God who made this day possible. The crowd applauded, not just out of tradition, but out of gratitude, because every African heart knew, without faith, they would not have survived this long. The Brotherhood of Nations. The speaker turned to the people of Niger, offering them honor and respect. He did not call them allies. He did not call them neighbors. He called them brothers and sisters. Because Africa's borders, lines drawn by colonizers with ink and arrogance, had never broken the deeper truth. The blood flowing in Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and beyond was the same blood. The blood of warriors, the blood of ancestors who fought against foreign invaders, the blood of slaves stolen and shipped across oceans who built empires with their sweat and pain, the blood of those who stood against Nazism in Europe, who died far from home but carried Africa's courage into foreign battles. That blood was not weak. That blood was not for sale. That blood was a reminder, we are not what they call us. We are not slaves. We are not pawns. We are not beggars. The bitter truth. But the speech did not flatter. It cut deep like a knife. With calm fire, he revealed what Africa still faces. To the imperialists, Africa is still their empire of slaves. Our lands belong to them. Our soil belongs to them. Our gold, our uranium, our oil, our children's future, all of it, they believe, belongs to them. The audience grew tense because every African listening knew the examples. Niger's uranium lights up the streets of Paris, yet Niger's villages sit in darkness. Burkina Faso's gold fills foreign vaults, yet its children walk on dusty roads to empty schools. Mali's soil is scarred with holes from endless mining, yet its hospitals lack medicine. And when Africans dare to demand dignity, foreign masters send their messengers. Local elites, dressed in fine suits but chained in invisible collars. Salon slaves, the speaker called them. Africans who serve the master, betray their brothers, and sell their homeland for power, money, or the illusion of safety. The crowd erupted with applause. Not the applause of celebration, but the applause of truth finally spoken out loud. The courage to resist. Then came the turning point. The voice thundered with defiance. If we are truly the poorest countries, as they say in their reports, then why do they refuse to leave? Why are they desperate to stay on our soil? The hall fell into silence, a silence heavy with understanding, because the answer was clear. Africa is not poor. Africa is robbed. And that robbery continues through mercenaries, disinformation, manipulation, economic traps, and endless lies. For decades, Africans were told they were too weak, too divided, too dependent to stand alone. But now a new generation is rising, a generation that refuses manipulation, a generation that knows its history and knows its strength. The birth of resistance. When Niger dared to claim its independence, the masters panicked. They sent threats, sanctions, even war plans. But the Sahel responded with fire. Anyone who dares to attack Niger will face us all. We will wage war to the last drop of blood if necessary. Because this is not just about Niger, this is about Africa's right to live free. Every word struck like thunder. This was not diplomacy. This was survival. This was unity forged in blood and sacrifice. Expanding the dream. But the vision did not stop at defense. The voice lifted higher, painting a future worth fighting for. The AES was born as a pact of defense, but it must grow into finance, into economy, into infrastructure, into health, into education, into everything that builds a nation. It was not just a military alliance, it was the seed of a new Africa, an Africa where children learn in schools that teach truth, not lies, where hospitals heal the poor, not just the privileged, where wealth stays in African hands, where leaders serve, not enslave. The true enemy. The most dangerous weapon of the imperialists was not guns, it was words. Democracy, freedom, human rights. Beautiful words, but often twisted into chains, used to justify coups, sanctions, and invasions. The speaker did not reject the words themselves. He rejected the hypocrisy of those who shouted them while exploiting Africa. They talk of democracy while stealing our resources. They talk of freedom while enslaving us with debt. They talk of human rights while ignoring our people dying in poverty. The hall roared again, because everyone knew Africa must define its own democracy, its own freedom, its own human rights, rooted not in foreign masters, but in the dignity of its people. The oath of defiance. Finally, the speech rose to its climax. It was not merely a conclusion, it was an oath. We will fight for true independence. We will fight for our freedom. We will fight for our children and their children. We will fight to the last drop of blood if we must. Because this land is ours. Because this future is ours. Because Africa will never kneel again. The word shook the room, not with fear, but with resolve. Not with hatred, but with a fierce love for homeland. Closing hook to audience. Now the question falls to you, the listener. The speech is over, but the battle has just begun. Will you stay silent, or will you rise? Will you share this message, carry it to every village, every city, every heart? Because Africa's story is still being written, and history is watching.